Benjamin Franklin once said, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." Thomas Jefferson, perhaps paraphrasing his friend, wrote that a society that will trade a little liberty for a little order will lose both and deserve neither. Franklin and Jefferson believed that U.S. law should serve the common good as well as government's fundamental purpose to protect inalienable rights such as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The U.S. ratified the First Amendment in 1791, affirming that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. The Bill of Rights was only 7 years old, however, when it met its first challenge. It was a turbulent time. France was at war with England, and many Federalists wanted to go to war with France. President John Adams wanted to avoid war. In 1798, Congress passed the Alien and Sedition Acts. These laws made it a crime, punishable by fines up to $2,000 and prison terms up to 2 years, to publish false, scandalous, and malicious writing, meant to bring into contempt or disrepute the President or Congress. The laws were meant to quiet support for France. They were also meant to weaken President John Adams's political opponents. Adams did not ask Congress for these measures, but he did not oppose them either. He signed them into law. His actions inflamed the resistance of his opponents. In the end, Adams succeeded in making peace with France, but Federalist anger, together with public hostility to the Alien and Sedition Acts, contributed to Adams's loss of the presidency to Jefferson in the election of 1800. The sedition law expired on the day that Jefferson took the oath of office. While Jefferson's inauguration concluded one of the earliest crises in American civil liberties, the election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860 prompted a civil war that brought further challenges to the Bill of Rights. Lincoln wished to halt the spread of slavery to new territories. By the day of his inauguration, 7 states had withdrawn from the Union. Maryland, another slave state, seemed poised to join the Confederacy. Had Maryland seceded, the U.S. Capitol would have been surrounded by the Confederate States of America. Lincoln invoked the clause of the Constitution that allowed Congress, which was not in session, to suspend habeas corpus when, in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety will require it. Habeas corpus is the power of a judge to demand that the government show cause for a person's imprisonment. Free to jail suspected secessionists without charges or proof of wrongdoing, U.S. civil and military authorities oversaw the arrest of 13,000 Americans, including John Merryman of Maryland. Roger Taney, Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, issued a writ of habeas corpus. He commanded military officials to present Merryman to a judge who would determine if there was cause to hold him. When Merryman's captors refused, Taney ruled that Lincoln's suspension of normal legal procedures was unconstitutional. Lincoln refused to recognize this decision. He famously asked, "Are all the laws but one to go unexecuted, and the government itself go to pieces, lest that one be violated?" While Lincoln is best remembered as a great emancipator, by his own admission, the principal objective of the Civil War was to preserve the Union. Liberty mattered, but the Union, which he viewed as the best arrangement for the protection of the people's liberties, had to come first. Woodrow Wilson, who led America into World War I, worried about the effect of war on civil liberties, but he concluded that the U.S. needed laws to deter dangerous activities. He supported the Espionage Act of 1917, which criminalized words or deeds that might cause insubordination in the military or that interfered with recruitment. The Sedition Act of 1918 banned disloyal, profane, scurrilous, or abusive language aimed at the national government. All told, at least 8,000 Americans faced prosecution or some other form of government suppression under these laws. World War I also brought a chilling climate within America for people of German descent. The climate for Japanese Americans during World War II, however, was far worse. Japanese Americans' persecution as a racial minority was official and specific. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's 1942 Executive Order Number 9066 authorized the forced internment of about 110,000 Japanese or Japanese Americans in barbed wire compounds in the western half of the United States. It remains unclear how many of these individuals aimed to threaten the national security of the United States. In the aftermath of the Japanese bombing of Pearl Harbor, however, a great deal of pressure, at least some of it racially motivated, fell upon Roosevelt. He never expressed remorse for succumbing to it. James Madison explained that, of all the enemies to public liberty, war is perhaps the most to be dreaded, because it comprises and develops the germ of every other. However one defines liberty, history shows that war poses great challenges for constitutional protections, even in the freest of nations.